Okay, I'd like to give credit to CV Performance for his video. This is the CV carburetor, and I find out that the air-fuel mixture is located just here. So that's looking behind the on the other side of the carburetor, and that's the air-fuel mixture just there. So now he's turned the carburetor upside down, and that's the air-fuel mixture just there. So at the factory, the air-fuel mixture is actually covered up with aluminium, so we'll look into that. Okay, so the air-fuel mixture is set by turning it so that it's seats only. Don't turn it too hard, and you turn it out 1 3/4 turns. Okay, so this will be the job of the day, just to take the carburetor off and just go through the process of just checking it out again. So this is the third removal, and I'm particularly interested in where that air-fuel mixture is positioned. So this actually holds the carburetor on. Once you remove it, the carburetor will just come out of its rubber insert there. So this is the VOES, or inlet pressure sensor. Just remove that, turn around the other side and just remove your cables. Okay, so we see here that that's the actual air-fuel mixture there, and you can see that it's covered up with aluminium, so I need to drill out that aluminium to get to the air-fuel mixture screw. Yeah, so you just remove this screw here that holds on the whole the assembly. Oh, and also this screw here on top of the carburetor. Undo that. Okay, so as always, get a container to put all the little screws in, because these little pieces cost a lot of money, especially now for me here, because the dollar's not worth very much against the US dollar, so this stuff's starting to get very, very expensive. Okay, so now I'm able to remove the framework there, and you know, the two throttle cables. Just remove them. It's got a bit of spring tension on it, but you just bring that down, and you can then remove the two ends of the throttle cables. This is a very strange carburetor design. They've got the overflow going to the back of the bike, so let's see, it sits in this way, and you know, you got to reach behind here, all the way around behind the back to get to the overflow. Another thing is that's very highly suspect is covering up the air-fuel mixture. Apparently behind this plug here is the air-fuel mixture screw. I'll take off the bowl. This carburetor's been taken apart and cleaned out. I just want to check the float level. Yeah, so that looks pretty good to me. You can see that that's level along the level line there. Okay, so the main jet, as we saw before in previous videos, looks good. The emulsion tube, it looks good and it's unblocked. So I've got some carburetor cleaner. Apparently, if you tip it upside down, then this little plunger here can fall out. Not too tight. Just to correct some of the previous work, that's the emulsion tube, the long part that screws into the body of the carburetor, and that's the main jet, the bit on top, the small bit. And this is the secondary jet. So that's the secondary jet. It's like an emulsion tube, and as we can see there, it's unblocked. I took this emulsion tube. I took it out and used brake and metal parts cleaner on it. But let's see now. I'll line it up there. You see that you know, it's all unblocked. Okay, so a way to check the bowl level and the valve is you've got this fuel inlet here. You can blow through and you push up on your float just to make sure that no air can get through. So to remove the float, you've got an arrow on this side, so that's the bit that sits into the motor. This is looking at the front of it, and you've got this arrow and you have to drive this pin out. I use a small rivet and a punch. When you're laying it down and driving that pin out, just remember not to smash your fuel inlet L-bend here. It's made out of plastic. You've got a high and a low point. You drive it out toward the higher side. So to adjust your fuel bowl level, that's the bit there that you have to raise or lower, that metal bit. That's your fuel valve. Okay, so I'm just reinstalling the pin now. The pin's sticking out on that side there. Okay, so you can see that's sitting up a bit. So I'm going to come around the back with a small tool and lift it up a bit, and you can see that's made it drop to close enough to level. So yeah, well you've been sticking with the video, so I can pass on a really good tip. There's no need to remove the the float bowl, you can just get a small screwdriver like this, and you can just raise or lower this this metal bit here, and that'll give you your float bowl height. Okay, so like the other videos, I'll point out this is this bit that operates the plunger underneath the carburetor. So there's a hole there that goes around in the back, hooks in there, and you just get the bowl, get the rubber boot, working into the rubber boot, and yeah, just sit the bowl down, a little something like that. Okay, so the next thing is to check the air-fuel mixture. That's down in behind this this plate here. Apparently I've got to grind off the top here to be able to access the air-fuel mixture. Okay, so you might be able to see there that I shaved a bit off the top. Then I drilled a small hole down until it went through the top plate there. And I'm going to try and get it out with this screw. No, I don't think that's going to work somehow. Okay, so I'm only removing this and checking the height of the air-fuel mixture screw because I'm having problems with the bike, and in particular there's a very rich mixture getting into the combustion chamber, and my spark plugs are all sooted up and oily. Okay, so there it is. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is clean out this carburetor, get rid of all the filings. Okay, so the air fuel mixture here, this screw, it's 1 3/4 turn out. 1 3/4 turns out from seating. So what I'm going to do is just make a mark here on this side of the air fuel mixture, and I'll make a corresponding mark of white out on the same side. Okay, so we're going to go 1 turn, and that's seated. I'd say 3/4 of a turn is all it went. So it was wound in too far, and winding in would be restricting the airflow, which would make the air fuel mixture too rich, and that's exactly what was wrong with my bike. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a mark just there. Okay, so here we go, 1 3/4, so that would be 1, and that's a quarter, so it has to go around up to the north, sticking straight up to virtually where the first mark was. Yeah, that's it. So at this point I've found two very important problems with the bike. Yeah, so that's 1 3/4. Yeah, that's right. Okay. The problems with the bike is the air fuel mixture and the inlet manifold, where I've got one of the seals is completely twisted, just there. Probably see it better on that angle there. So that's sitting down, and yet this is all the way up there. As well as that, you can see on the front cylinder there's obviously been air and soot getting past there. So that's it. I'll call it a day for today. The carburetor is good to go, and I've got to see about getting these rubber washers or rubber gaskets for the intake manifold. Okay, so don't forget to just make sure that no dirt or anything bad can get into the carburetor inlets while you're waiting a couple of weeks for parts to come in.